I oversee the orientation program primarily, and so I'm one of the two assistant directors. So I pretty much work with anything involving new first year students, new transfer students, and a little bit of sophomore stuff. So if you've gotten an email communication from me as far as orientation or something in the mail with orientation, my name was probably on it, so that's me. So today I just want to talk to you a little bit about orientation and what that's going to look like, so you know what to expect and you can ask any questions that you may have. We do orientation very different than many other schools do, and so I think that's why a program like this is really helpful. Where most other schools call what you did for an A&R day, a lot of other schools call that orientation. So what we do is what schools call weeks of welcome, which we also have. We just kind of butt this up a little bit differently. So to get started, I just kind of want to go over like what is new student orientation and what is really the purpose of this. So we have a uniquely designed 4-day program where you, if you are a first year student, you are put in groups based on your first year seminar course. And so if you're a first year, then you're going to go through orientation with the same peers that you are going to have with you through the entire first semester in that first year seminar. If you are a new transfer student, we ask everybody to RSVP, and then we put everyone in groups. We kind of divide up the incoming transfer class and put them in different groups. So basically, regardless of whether you're a first year or transfer, we try to make sure that this is new student inclusive, recognizing that both groups kind of have a similar transition to a new school. And so over those 4 days, you're going to do a lot of things revolving around learning about the campus, learning about yourself, and then also being able to meet peers. The peer-to-peer connection is probably one of the biggest pieces of new student orientation because we really want you to start your first day of school knowing some people. We've seen through a lot of research and a lot of years doing this that when students can start their first day of school and first week knowing at least 1 or 2 faces, they're probably more likely to make some more connections and stay here. And you can probably all imagine that like starting school knowing a couple people is a lot easier than feeling like you're kind of the only fish in a really big pond. So that is a big way that we try to make sure that you are supported here. And we do that through those 4-day programs. And like I said, we do everything from some formal activities like new student convocation and a president's dinner, all the way to taking you to the Go Ape adventure course where you will climb and zip line in treetops. And then we also take you over to Feed My Starving Children and to do some service events. And all through that, we also sprinkle in like movies on the mall and what we call Frick Fest, where we have a bunch of games and activities through the entire Frick Center, and just do a lot of things to make sure that you understand the campus and each other. And we do some really in-depth activities too that kind of teaches you about the school's values, diversity and inclusion, your own personal values, and really giving you an opportunity to kind of be honest about who you are so you can meet some friends. So kind of going along with what I just said, here's just some key pictures from things that we have over those 4 days. The top 3 are some of our big speakers. On the far left is, as you probably all know, President Troy Van Aken, who definitely speaks to you a couple times. The 2 gentlemen in the middle and on the right are 2 of our keynote speakers that you'll hear from. One talks about diversity and inclusion and how we can really be a big part of making an inclusive community on campus. The other one focuses on the right, that's Kevin. He focuses a lot more on positive energy and having a really good time and making sure that you are spreading kindness to your classmates and others across the campus. A couple other things that we do, you'll meet all the OSL team. That's what you see on the bottom right. And the bottom left, we also do a program called College 101. And so that is an entirely a skit completely led by orientation student leaders who you'll meet. And it's a really raw, interesting, funny presentation, but more like a play or a skit, like I said, where you can just kind of learn about typical things that college students usually go through, whether you are a first year or a transfer. And so it's really grounded in honesty and a lot of humor. And so students really love that session as well. And then along with all the other things that I had just said that you'll also do over those 4 days. So moving right along, what we also are amping up is making sure that there's things for your families to do. So we usually get a lot of questions about like, I have my parents want to come by and see, or my parents want to do this, or my family members are coming into town. Can they also do things? We do have some programs for families and parents on that Wednesday, August 25th, from pretty much 11 a.m. or move in, which is a little bit before that, until about 2:30. After 2:30, we ask your parents and your family members to kind of head home, and the rest of the program is really geared towards you, so we can really focus on making sure that you are acclimated to the college and that you're getting the things you need and really starting to make those connections with your peers. So families are more than welcome and encouraged to help you move in if you're a resident student. That starts at 9 a.m. and you'll hear from Residence Life about that. Otherwise, if you're a commuter student, you don't have to be here until 11 on the 25th. And we start with a luncheon, and then there's a formal welcome, and then there's a little reception for the families as well. So we try to definitely highlight their involvement and make sure that they know that they are a part of the process with you, and that they're they're your family, so like they're a big ally, and they are definitely a support group that we want to make sure that they know that we're happy they're here and to partner with us in your development. So overall, I think this might be one of the last slides I have. So I want to put out there that like what's really interesting about our program is you're going to learn from other leaders. This entire 4-day program is led by students like you see in this picture, who are really just dedicated to making sure that you have a great time at Elmhurst just like they did. And we have leaders that are from all different parts of the campus and are involved in a ton of different things. You are randomly assigned to an orientation student leader when you start, and transfer students will also be assigned an orientation student leader as well. So the great thing is not only will you have this orientation student leader through those 4 days of orientation, they will also be checking in with you the entire first year that you're on campus. And so that again just kind of creates a really nice connection and bond. So you have some peer-to-peer conversations instead of always feeling like you need to go to like a staff person here. We also give you, which you always can, but we also try to give you this other layer of just peer-to-peer, so that way you have somebody that you can easily text and everything else to get a hold of. So these are some of our greatest leaders on campus. I like to work with them. I actually oversee all of them, and I can tell you that they are a very vibrant and energetic and upbeat group of people who really just want to make sure that you really love Elmhurst as much as they do. So they're very, very excited to meet you. And then this is the orientation schedule that I just like to put up as a general thing. And I think, yeah, this is my last one. So let me go back one. I'll leave this up here for a minute. You can also find this on the website, elmhurst.edu/orientation. This is up there as a PDF. Now, this is a more general schedule for what those 4 days look like. You will have a more specific schedule when you meet with your orientation student leader, and they will be able to tell you kind of what happens more specifically per each group, because you can see on Thursday and Friday, we just have a bunch of events listed as general times. Essentially, each orientation group is going to have their own schedule. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, which is why we don't put it on here, but this is a great first start. And so when you come on Wednesday and you meet your orientation student leader at 1:45, you will get your really more in-depth schedule for the rest of those 4 days. So with that, I know I went pretty quick and I went over a lot of things. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, or if there's any questions that popped up in the chat. Otherwise, yeah, I guess I'll pause there and ask if anybody had any questions.